and welcome back to Faces of Family Business. This series is all about shining a light on family businesses who make up the backbone of our economy as well as our communities right here in Northern Ireland. Now, one brilliant analogy we can use for family businesses is that of an apple tree. Strong roots and sweet fruit and product, and I'm just delighted today that we have the McKeever family from Long Meadow Farms and Long Meadow Cider here with us today. Catherine and Alanna, you're more than welcome. And over the next wee while, we're just going to talk about their story together. So just as you reflect on your journey of being now a third generation family business, from those roots of the first apple tree being planted, which I think, keep me right, was 1963. Talk to me about that journey. What have been some of the highlights and some of the challenges? Catherine, we'll start with you.
So as you mentioned, Ian, family's the whole ethos of everything that we do here on the family farm. Highlights, I suppose the main initial highlight for us would be the planting of the first trees on the farm, and that was by my father-in-law. He planted those first trees on the farm around 1963-64. So that was the Bramley apple trees that were first planted on the farm. We always say if he hadn't planted those trees, we wouldn't have what we have today on the farm. When Pat's father sadly passed away, Pat took over the family business. He made his own changes, he put his own mark by planting different plantations. From that, we've diversified a wee bit further, and we now produce our own products that you can see sitting here. So we have our craft ciders, our apple juice and our apple cider vinegar. And it was really when our son Peter became involved within the family business, they really wanted to do something different. Peter was keen to do something more with the apples. So the brand then was developed and produced, and we started into making the range that we have here. We now offer tour experiences on the farm as well. So we work with a large number of tour operators, and they bring visitors to us from all across the world, all over the world, just to come to see what we do on our family farm. And it does give them an opportunity to jump into our lives just for a wee while and to see how an apple orchard works, the different plantations and things that we grow, and then the cider end of the business as well. So I think really we have diversified as far as we can. We've also now built our Bramley barn, which is situated right in the heart of the orchard. It's a completely glass-fronted building, and it's there that we would host our experiences and do tastings of our products and that as well.
I love that phrase you just said, allowing them to jump into our lives for a little bit. Obviously, growing up in a farming background, Alanna, if I bring you in, what are some of your earliest memories of being part of the family farm and the family business?
My earliest memory on the farm is actually my dad's brother, who is sadly no longer with us, but my earliest memory is of him actually chasing me from Granny and Granda's house, which is at the top of the farm, back down to Mum and Dad's and climbing the trees with him and everything. And it's amazing now because myself, my husband and my own children now live in their original home house. And it's great now to see them running down the orchard, down to their Granny and Granda's, and now they also have the lovely added facility of the barn and things like that as well. So it's nice to see the full circle of life again on the farm.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Really lovely.
Another wee thing I think I would like to add here now, just as you've mentioned that wee memory, I have memories of them learning to drive in the orchard.
Oh dear,
yes,
yeah, don't talk about that.
I do have a very vivid memory of a car being crashed into an apple tree.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Let's not say who that was. Mum.
I'll not highlight who that was, but yes, lovely memories of the children growing up.
Now, on the flip side of that, anyone who knows anything about farming, nothing happens by accident. A lot of hard work and graft. How has that work ethic been so important to where you've gotten to today, would you say?
Well, I would say we do have a very strong ethic. We are family, very, very much family run. Everything we do, before we do it, we talk about it, we chat about it. Is this something that's viable for the business? Should we do this? Should we not do this? We respect each other's opinions. Of course, with it being a family business, there are disagreements. Anybody that says there's not disagreements in a family business must be living in a different world. But we take on board everything that everybody has to say and chat about. And with us being a family business, we are very flexible. And of course, there's long hours as well in a family-run business. It is not a 9-to-5 job. It is 7 days a week.
Yeah.
There's very few holidays, should I say, as well. But like that's what it is. We love what we do. We have a great passion for what we do. If we didn't love it, we wouldn't be doing it.
So being a family business is an immense source of strength. Talk to me about that.
In a family business, you always have someone to fall back on. Someone always has your back. Someone's always there to catch you. Growing up and seeing how hard mum and dad have worked throughout the years, it's only natural for us then to do it. So it's great for the grandkids to be constantly on the farm and seeing all of us do it. You learn very much what you live in life. It's a nice comfort blanket sometimes being in a family business.
If you don't mind, we'll talk about the succession journey that your family has been through, both in terms of Alanna, yourself coming on board and your brother. But can we go back to that first transition to yourself and your husband and taking over the run of the farm? How did that process work for you? Was it a natural progression? Was that always going to happen? Or talk to me about that stage.
I think it always was going to be a natural progression because Pat grew up on the family farm. Apple farming was in his blood from a very early age. He would talk to us regularly about the memories that he has as a young boy. All those memories that he has that we have now passed down to our children and our grandchildren. So yes, it was a natural progression and continues to be a natural progression. Pat and myself are together now from we were 16 years of age. So I'm not going to tell you how long we are together because I'll just give away my age. Yes. But it's a long time, a very long time. Little did I know then when we were stepping out, as they called it, would we be where we are today? Things have changed dramatically. Like I remember in our courting days, I remember going to the farm and helping to pick the apples. I remember climbing those trees that we are now showing to visitors that come to see us from all over the world.
All just to impress the boy, Mum.
All to impress the boy. If I knew then what I know now, things may have been different.
Slightly different.
slightly different. But yes, Pat then carried on the business, as I say, sadly, when his father passed away. He made the huge changes that he did make with the different plantations and things. The introduction of the ciders, it was something that we always wanted to do. But because, like, we've 5 children, there was no way we were going to start a new business with 5 kids. We decided to wait because we weren't going to ruin their childhood by starting a whole new business because they needed us more than we needed a new business. So we did wait until they were a wee bit older. And as I said, Peter then was initially the first to come on board, and then thankfully now we have Alanna here. Alanna is now my right-hand woman. I don't think I could operate now without her. That's the truth. Yeah, a blessing, an absolute blessing.
That's brilliant. So talk to me about that transition process. Obviously, Peter and Alanna, you're now working in the business, but talk to me about some of the earliest considerations around that. Again, was it always something that you really wanted some of them to come in? Obviously, you didn't force any of them to, but talk to me about that. How did you manage that process? How did you approach it?
Well, we always left them the option. Yes, there's a family business here, but by no means feel you have to be part of that family business. Children have to find their own way in life, and it's very wrong to put something on them that they don't want to do. Peter did want to be involved, so he naturally has carried that on. As I say, he has been brought up in it. It's in his blood as well. He's in the orchards from a very early age, as all the girls are. It felt natural for him to go down that path as well, the path that his father took. We wouldn't have built the business up to the stage that it's at if the children weren't involved, because there'd been no point. There really would have been no point. So what we've done, what we have built up within the business, we have done for the children and we've done for the grandchildren.
Alanna, what made you want to come and join the business?
I tried easily 3, 4 different paths, different careers. And yeah, it was just a natural progression, wasn't it really? I think I hounded you for a good 5 or 6 years.
She
Give me a
really
job,
did.
give me a job.
She really, really did. Alanna's been looking to be in the business for a long, long time.
And she wore you down
But
eventually.
she wore me down eventually. But we were just not in a position because the business was still growing. But as I said, couldn't operate now without Alanna or Peter. Honest, they're invaluable to us as a family-run business. That generation, a generation brings something new to the business. We can only bring it so far, but it's up to them now to just make different changes and bring it on now to a totally different level altogether. But even the other girls, like our other daughters, they're all involved in that. So it's just not the 4 of us, it's the other girls as well. So it's all hands on deck, and dear love them. They hate to see us coming now with the dairy, because we're trying to get dates organised and saying, right, who's free and who's available, and that's just the way it is
Just the
now.
way of it. I love it. They're part of the family business, whether they work in it or
Yeah,
not.
and whether they like it or not, tough. They're pulled in, and that's just it.
And if you're married in, you're pulled in too.
Exactly.
Right, in-laws is involved
In-laws
as well.
We hear a lot about sustainability now, but to me, sustainability means leaving what you have in a better place for the next generation. Talk to me a little bit about the work you've done around diversifying and bringing in new products so that you can grow what you do to have a sustainable legacy for the next generation.
Well, sustainability is a huge factor for us. We're really trying to figure out a full circle of life for our apples. So we have so much apple pomace whenever we are pressing our fresh fruit. And at the minute we are offering it out for free to pig farmers and another company for renewable energy, aerobic digestion. So really what we would love is to be able to use that pomace as like a natural fertiliser for our tree, giving that fruit the full circle of life, enhancing our farm, enhancing the biodiversity on the farm. We have invested so heavily, as Mum said, in capital equipment. We're now looking at a few other different items of capital equipment which will help lower costs and things, therefore reducing our carbon emissions off the farm and things. So sustainability is a huge factor, and like any business, it's a sustainability journey
It's
and
a
just
journey.
ongoing.
Yeah, it's a journey.
You
That's the
learn.
best way to describe it.
Yeah,
It's learning
learn as you go
evolving.
and
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine, I know from having visited Long Meadow and hearing your fabulous tour that you're not the only mother on the farm. Talk to me about the mother. What is the mother when it comes to apples?
The mother now, we're referring to now the mother within the apple cider vinegar, yes.
I am indeed.
The vinegar, the apple cider vinegar was not a product that we thought we were going to make. Our vinegar is a pure, raw, unfiltered, unpasteurised apple cider vinegar, and it does, as you rightly say, contain the mother. When you say that to people, they look at you as if you have horns on your heads sometimes if they don't know what that is. But the mother is a living bacteria. It's a living culture that grows within the apple cider vinegar. So it's a Cidibacter bacteria that grows within the vinegar. But it is an amazing product, but also great for cooking. So you can cook with it as well. It's lovely in marinades and sauces and gravies. Lovely mixed in with your salads with a wee bit of rapeseed oil and that too. So it's a very versatile wee product, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. As we know, families don't always get on well. You've already mentioned that. How do you make sure that you stick together, though? How do you make sure that any disagreements or any conflicts you can overcome and keep your eyes on the overall goal?
Well, we have been very fortunate. We are a very close family. Regardless of the business, we're very, very close. Very rarely would you ever see one where there's not somebody tagging along. We're near like ducks sometimes, where you see one, there's somebody toddling behind. Funny, we were just talking about this the other day. We are very fortunate that we are such a tight-knit, close family because we do get on so well. There really isn't any disagreements.
Nothing major.
Nothing major.
That can't be solved after the kettle's stuck on.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? You know, it's nothing.
There's a cup of tea and maybe an old bit of soda bread or something.
Cup of tea and soda
butter
bread.
or something, do you know what I mean?
The cure of all else.
But no, I have to say we're very, very fortunate in that regard and respect one another, everyone's decisions. Everyone has their own opinions and their own outlooks. So if there is something, we chat about it, we get it thrashed out. But there's never been, and we've been so lucky because you hear it a lot in different families, there's never been fallouts. And we're very lucky in that respect.
The Faces of Family Business campaign came about as a result of wanting to, as I said before, shine a light on the diversity of family businesses we have here. across Northern Ireland, large and small, many generations. We asked you to submit 3 images to display as part of an art exhibition. Talk to me about the 3 images you chose. Was that an easy process, or did you have to go through a bit of a decision to take as to which images best represented your family history?
The main image, which we felt was very, very important, because he was the main man of the whole business, was Pat's father, and he was known as Grand McKeever from the children were growing up. He was the man that put a roadway down through the orchard between the 2 family homes, so the children could run up and down through the orchard and then eventually drive up and down through the orchard. So he was the main man. He was the man, as I say, that started that business off all those years ago. There was never any question of him not being one of the images. Pat and Peter then obviously was another very important one, because they were the 2 men that really did a lot of the hard work as well behind the family business, planting different plantations, diversifying into the ciders and the juice and the vinegar and that as well. So they both played a very, very important part, because that's the first, the second and the third generation there straight away. The ladies of the business then were very, very important. There's our 4 daughters, myself, and then Mummy, my mother, is in that image as well. So we felt it was very important to include Mummy within that image also, because she's very much part of the experiences that we offer now. Mummy is 93 and still baking her own bread. So she was the lady that taught me how to bake. I remember standing in her scullery, as it was called then, standing over her griddle, her old style griddle that her mother used, which she used and which I now used to show our visitors as part of the experiences. So those are the childhood memories that I have. So as I say, it was very important to include her as well, because the soda bread, the griddle bread experience that we offer to our visitors that come to the farm play a huge part of what we now offer. It's one of the main experiences that we do offer on the farm. So we felt it was very important that all the women, the McKeever women, were included as well in one of those images.
Fantastic.
But even that last image of all the women, it's one of my most favourite images on the farm, because in that photo, I'm expecting a girl and my sister Patricia was expecting her daughter as well. So there's actually 4 generations of women in that picture. So I just think it's one of the best pictures on the farm.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So beautiful. Who's getting the griddle next? That's the question.
That could be the first. That could be the first really bad argument on the farm, couldn't it?
This griddle, I'm guarding this griddle with my life. So I am, because this was the griddle that Granny would have cooked the bread on the open fire, on a turf fire. So this griddle is years old. If I had a penny for every soda fire that was made in that griddle, I'd be a very wealthy woman. It's history attached to it. There's stories. When you think of people coming into the home and that griddle on the fire and the conversations that there was and the slicing of the bread and it loaded with butter, there's so many stories that griddle could tell if it could talk. So yes, it will be handed down into that next generation, yeah.
At some point.
At some point. I'm guarding it at the moment.
But isn't that amazing, just how we attach meaning to, well, obviously we have apples there today, the tree, the griddle, just how we attach meaning and what that evokes in us. It's wonderful. Now, hopefully you never get to the stage where you're sick of the sight of an apple. I can't imagine that ever happening, but I just think that's fascinating, just how objects, ordinary, everyday objects, can be such an emotive part of our story and our history, and that's wonderful to reflect on. You've got such a wonderful history and story, but then obviously you're innovating as well, and you're changing and you're evolving. How do you balance those 2 things, or is it easy to do that? How do you keep and maintain that history and that legacy while still diversifying and changing?
I think that's one of the benefits of being a family business. Anyone who meets us, anyone we talk to about our products, anyone who comes to visit our farm, straight away we're telling them the history, they're feeling the love, they're feeling the passion. It's definitely not a business we're building up to sell on. So hopefully just that passion, that love, that drive can just be passed on the whole way throughout the generations, and each will come and just put their own wee spin on it.
And that's the intention for the next generation, to have something to take on board. If I could pivot it slightly more seriously for a moment, obviously one of the beautiful things about family businesses is that they can endure and last from generation to generation. Reflecting maybe some of the tough times, obviously most recently COVID being such a huge one, and some of the various different crises we've gone through, how difficult have those been to overcome?
They were difficult, they were difficult times for everyone. I always say it's as well we didn't know then what we know now, because a lot of people would have just stopped there and then. I think it was because we are so strong and so family orientated, one sort of near enough kept the other going. So when one was a bit maybe low on it or whatever, somebody else was there to jump in to say, look, come on, this will eventually pass. We were fortunate in a way that we have such a range of products here. So obviously with hospitality been closed, we couldn't get the products out that we normally do get out. But we were still able to work on online sales. One of the main supermarkets that we work with was obviously still open to that as well. So we were fortunate in that regard. And sometimes we do look back and we say, how did we ever get through that? How did we ever come through that time that the business didn't collapse? Because it's still in its infancy, really. We were only maybe about 8 years of age at that stage. It was a miracle that we did survive, but I think it was just because we were so strong-willed and determined, because we'd put so much into that business already. There was literally blood, sweat and tears went into it. Literally blood, sweat and tears. We gave up a lot, we sacrificed a lot, and that's why, well, we knew we just had to keep going with it. We weren't going to let it go, we just kept ploughing on with it. And we're just lucky we did get through that. Unfortunately, others didn't, but we were just, I suppose, one of the lucky ones.
At the same time, though, I think you have to look as well on the positive side of it. Yes, it was hard. Sales and things kind of stopped, but it made us look at the business in a different light. It made us get our own website up and running. Virtual tours was a thing for us while COVID happened. It also allowed us to really sit back, look and think about our Bramley barn and get it started. So yes, it was hard, but
it gave us time.
It gave us time to gather ourselves near as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So maybe instead of always trying to look on the negative end of it, I don't know, maybe that's just, me trying to make the best out of a bad situation.
But isn't that it? We make the best out of whatever.
Well, it gave us time because we did have time in our hands, so it gave us time to think about what we could do, because we were in we had our own bubble. So it did give us time then to think about, right, well, what can we do here now? Where is this going to move on to? What is the next stage? So I suppose it did give us that opportunity to do that as well, Is there anything more could be done to support your business or businesses like yours who are just trying to not just survive, but to thrive and grow? What better help could be out there?
The farming industry is made up completely of families. The majority of the farming industry is made up from families. And look at the weather we're having at the minute. Families are struggling. Anyone who's not within the farming sector probably don't understand what farmers are going through at the minute. It's so hard to get out into the fields, so hard to get machinery out. People don't understand the knock-on effect that that's going to have to the price of food and everything now coming in within the next wee while as well. And there is no real support for farmers at the minute in these unforeseen circumstances. This is the wettest April it's ever been.
But like everything we've done here in the family business, we've done it ourselves on the broad of our own back. We've got no help, we've got no support. Yes, you've maybe have people there giving you a wee bit of advice and guidance, but family businesses need that finance. They need finances to get things up and going. And yes, there's maybe things there for new startups and stuff, but then what about when you are going and everything else, you know what I mean? And maybe your back's against a wall, or you want to diversify and do different things. That financial help and support is not there from the government. And it really does need to be, because as Alanna said, a lot of the farmers now are family businesses. Majority of them are family businesses. What is there for them to want to continue on in their businesses and not give it up? Because it's hard to get that young generation to carry that on, and if they don't carry it on, where does it go? There does need to be more government input into family businesses to encourage them and to keep them going, because they do bring a lot of revenue in, a serious amount of revenue, and they're offering out employment and everything else to their local communities, their local areas. So if they're not there, what's going to happen?
Speaking more positively, you mentioned community, you mentioned local area. How important is part of your history and story and where you're looking to go is being part of a fabric of the community that you're founded in?
So I think really from we've started the business, people have sort of followed us along. They've grew up with our business. So it's very important that we keep it that way. As Alanna had mentioned earlier, we're not interested in growing into a huge big giant and commercialising this too far. We want to keep it the way it is. We want people to come along to see us, to come to the family farm, to see us at shows and events and functions, because it's always going to be us that they meet. Everything that we do in the farm is family. So it's not as if someone's just there, an employee from 9 to 5 explaining something to them. It's us, and it's always us they will get. And I think the local community and that, especially around us, they know what we're doing now, that they've followed us on our journey really, and especially now with the Bramley Barn. Like, we had a lovely event there just last weekend, which was called Soda Saturday. It was our first pop-up event that we did on the farm, and we were just amazed. I don't know where the people came out of. I really don't know, but it was...
You're saying sodas, yeah, I travel down for some of that, definitely. And like you said earlier, they're going to feel the love.
Yeah, straight away.
Definitely. Well, we'll hope that they would.
Yeah. And most said it was like coming into like their granny's old kitchen, the old style soda red and cups of tea. And so, that's what you always want to keep and always want to capture on the farm.
What advice would you have to any other family businesses that maybe watch this or listen to it about how to make a family business a success? And now, success can mean lots of different things. You know, we can talk about turnover and profits, but healthy and thriving, that's what I'm looking at. What advice would you give to anyone else?
I think it's important just, you know, if you're going to do something, I think you need to decide, right, do you want to be involved in this? Do you want to be part of this family business? There's no point in coming in just to please mummy and daddy. You need to do it because you want to do it, because that's how it's going to succeed, and that's how it's going to move on, and that's where the passion and everything comes from. Conversations need to be had. It's not for everybody. Everybody's going to take their own path in life. And I think it's up to both parents and children to realise that, and just don't think, oh, we've a family business here. You must be part of this. You don't have to be part of it. So there's no point in being there if you don't want to be there, because it will tell the tale eventually. Yeah.
But that was the advantage of mum and dad letting us all go off and do our own thing. Do you know what I mean? It was never pushed. It was never put upon you that you must be in this. So that was the huge advantage of being left to your own devices within reason.
And make your own decisions, and then just gradually just reel them back in.
It's that soda bread, I'm telling you. I'm not part of your family. That would reel me back in time and time again.
But now mum should at least have had another 2 or 3 children, because it's tight going.
Yeah, there's not enough of us now. Sometimes I would say we would need cloned, because there's just not enough of us, and sometimes there's not enough hours in the day. We want to be at the stage where we can offer employment. We really do, you know, within our own local community and that as well. We're not at that stage yet. We hope to be at that stage soon, because that's what we want to do.
It's the next progression.
You know, it really is. That's where we're heading for. That's what we want to be able to do. But we just have to keep building on it just for another wee bit, another while.
Well, just on that, as we come to a close, looking forward to the future, filled with fear, hope, optimism. Where are you at when you look forward?
I think it's very much hope and optimism.
We have a lot of exciting things coming up
We do.
in the back burner at the minute that is very hard to keep under the hat. I think it's a very hopeful, optimistic year for Longmeadow as a whole in every part of the business.
We do have a lot of exciting things happening this year, so watch this space. The news will hopefully break soon, sooner rather than later, I hope. But yes, we've a couple of nice, exciting things happening.
Well, on that note, a perfect way to close. Catherine and Alanna, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. And hopefully you've enjoyed hearing the Longmeadow story, from strong roots to sweet fruit and all the products that have come along with it. The richness of their story, but also the innovative nature of their family and how they keep thriving and they keep progressing onwards. So join us next time on Faces of Family Business.